Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. If you're new, my name is Sierra and I'm an American expat currently living in Mauritius. Here on my channel, I talk about life in Mauritius as an expat and also general expat related topics. In today's video, I decided to address some of the top questions that I have received in the comment section of my videos and also DMs. However, instead of watching me talking to a screen for the remainder of the video, you can watch some cool scenery captures that I took on a recent trip from the center of the island where I live to the capital of Port Louis and then to Grand Bay in the north. Let's start answering your questions. The first question up is, can you get good pay while working in Mauritius? Please note that good pay will vary across the board depending on the industry, the employer, and your opinion, which is also based on where you're coming from in the world. With that said, on the Mauritius Revenue Authority website as of October 2024, the minimum monthly salary is 16,500 Mauritian rupees for full-time employees, which converts to about $354. So if you are thinking about working in Mauritius, it would be best to keep this in mind, but also do your due diligence by thoroughly researching what will be offered given your particular situation before arrival and calculating that against your monthly expenses. All right, next question. Is it best to transition from a tourist visa into the premium visa while in Mauritius? First, if you are interested in the premium visa, please check to make sure that you meet the requirements, as I believe that eligibility can partly depend on the country that you are arriving from. I personally arrived in Mauritius without any visa and inquired about a tourist visa once I reached the airport. I was then offered 90 days under the tourist visa, which was substantial enough for me to navigate the country and get a feel for the different neighborhoods and where I wanted to live. In my opinion, this was the best decision. For example, because I chose this method, I didn't have to worry about sending any large international wire transfers from the US to Mauritius to secure an accommodation, which can be very tedious and a bit unpredictable. Ultimately, I trust that my decision to apply for the premium visa while on the tourist visa was the best case scenario. Okay, so for next we have, how do you enter the Mauritian job market? I'll keep this short and simple. Currently, if you're a foreigner and interested in getting a job in Mauritius, you should look into applying for a residence and work permit or an occupational permit. For more information about these, you can go to edbmauritius.org. The next question is, how are medical services in the public and private sector? To my knowledge, every resident of Mauritius is entitled to health care. However, usage of public health care can sometimes result in long waits and not enough individual attention. Private healthcare, although a bit more costly, tends to allow more freedom to decide on medical professionals according to preference, bedside manners, and etc. Experiences will vary, but personally, my general doctor visits to private practices have cost about $30, which is about 1,400 Mauritian rupees per visit. However, the medications prescribed many times exceeded the cost of the visits by reaching almost $45 or 2,100 Mauritian rupees. For example, Last November, I was experiencing COVID symptoms and was prescribed a different medication for multiple symptoms, like something for the infection, something for coughing, something for a runny nose and sneezing, something for congestion, something for body pain, something to coat my stomach, although all of the medicines did still cause irritation. Um, I ultimately get needing to take an antibiotic for a bad infection, but I'm not sure why it was so hard to find an all in one medication to treat the common symptoms that were associated. It was the first time that I had experienced this. Ultimately, you'll have to weigh your options for public and private health care according to your individual needs. Also, pay close attention to your deductible for your private care to see when assistance will actually kick in. Next question. Are there any natural disasters in Mauritius? Yes. With the beautiful tropical weather, Mauritius experiences cyclones during the summer months between November to April. A cyclone is the same as a typhoon and a hurricane, but they take on different names depending on geographical locations. Cyclone Bilal touched down in Mauritius earlier this year in January, and it was a scary sight. It was my first cyclone, and I remember seeing the clouds moving really fast and never seeing that before in my life quite that way. And seeing media images of the mass destruction that it caused and not being too far away from the gruesome scenes. It was surreal, to say the least, but perhaps just the price we pay for living in paradise. With that said, I don't want to scare anyone away by speaking on cyclone activity as it's a common occurrence here, and there's a lot that can be done for prevention, like stocking up on goods, choosing accommodations with backup generators, staying indoors, and planning provisions for a few days. For here, like anywhere, it's just another way of living. So if you're coming to visit or stay long term, just do your homework and diligently prepare yourself. Next question. How did you decide on Mauritius? As many of you know, the US is a far cry away from Mauritius. But about 5 years ago, when I first heard about the island, it was through a blog entry, and I was actually living in Santorini, Greece at the time. I'm a bit embarrassed to mention, but I didn't know about African islands then. But with Greece being located in the south of Europe and just north of Africa, I wanted to take a trip to Mauritius then, but the world turned upside down in 2020, and I soon found my way on a plane traveling back to the States. Sometime later, I received an article recommendation about digital nomad visas, and Mauritius was on the list, along with information about the premium visa. My plan from there was to finally put my media and film degree to work, come to the island to film and document my findings, while helping bring more information to my fellow Americans who also tend to not know much about the island itself because it's so far. Now, fast forward, I'm an unofficial American ambassador, just trying to bring more awareness to those that will listen. The next question that I will address is, do you like Mauritius? In a moment of transparency, guys, this is a difficult question for me. I've left it, I came back to it many times, but on a bright note, I think that Mauritius is filled with a lot of beautiful scenery, affordable housing, stunning biodiversity, and a lot of approachable locals. However, in the long run, I'm convinced that Mauritius isn't the place for me. Now, before I go into this a bit more, I just want listeners to understand that this is solely opinion based. Everybody has one. And here on my channel, I express my own. I won't go into a long rant, but one of the main difficulties that I have been experiencing or having trouble with coping with in the past year and a half is the quality of customer service here. Prior to arriving in Mauritius, I was exposed to a world where companies took customer retention, customer success, consistency, accountability into consideration when building out business plans and looking towards the future. However, here I just think that many businesses don't really prioritize the customer experience. It's like you get what you get, and we're just going to move on from there. Let me specify that not every establishment is like this. However, it has been a reoccurring theme for me during the past year and a half that I have been here. And I have reason to believe that I'm not alone in regards to thinking this way. I think I reserve the right to want to contribute my money towards establishments where I feel accommodated and like I matter. And I just have been having trouble with finding that consistently here. All right, and the next question is, how long will you stay in Mauritius? I'm not quite sure what the future holds, but I would say 1 to 2 more years. I had my eyes set on another country, but they recently decided to tighten their immigration requirements. So I kind of had to go back to the drawing board. There's another contender, but I need to get my ducks in a row a bit more before I can officially make that announcement. Another question that I get quite often is, will you move back to the United States? Home is home at the end of the day, and there are a ton of things that I miss about home, so I'm sure that I will revisit at some point. However, the desire to live in the US long term is not quite there for me right now. Actually, many Americans these days of all ages are grabbing their passports and actively moving abroad for various reasons. I'm all for it. Historically, people have been migrating since the beginning of time. With that said, why congregate to one side of the world forever if you don't have to? Next question, is Mauritius safe for solo females? Now, we are currently living in a time where female solo travelers are boldly traveling the world in search of new pursuits and horizons. I'm all for it. Unfortunately, women do have to take more safety precautions than men, whether it be at home or abroad. With that said, if you are a solo female traveler coming to Mauritius, you should try to keep to populated areas, stick with certified guides if you're exploring remote areas. Let a trusted person know where you're going if you plan on going out alone, and be aware that things shut down pretty early here in Mauritius and areas aren't always well lit. Overall, just remain street smart. Have you experienced racism in Mauritius? I gotta be honest here, guys. This question, unfortunately, was one of the most frequently asked. If you know anything about Mauritius, it's a very diverse country, but with a checkered past that includes slavery, colonialism, and indentured servitude. Unfortunately, despite it being a melting pot, there are a lot of videos circulating on YouTube about people of African descent being discriminated against. In some cases, some have cited the treatment as happening as soon as they reach the airport, which is very disheartening because many people have their hopes high before they arrive to Mauritius, as they view it as an African island and assume that discrimination will be one of their last worries. And ultimately, their feelings are valid. Back to my personal experience, when most Mauritians see me, they assume that I am Mauritian Creole. But therein lies the problem. I look the look, but I don't talk the talk. So when they hear my American accent, there's a high chance that the price will go up, if you know what I mean. As a workaround, I try to stay away from places where prices aren't displayed, or I resort to relying on the kindness of some locals to make calls on my behalf if I really need to get a quote for something. So I guess for me, the issue isn't racism, but more like nationalism in a sense. Your next question is, what kind of activities can I enjoy in Mauritius? Mauritius is a land, sea, and air destination with many exciting discoveries for the whole family to explore. There are a plethora of tour excursion companies here that can provide half or full day tours so that you can explore the island with local tour guides and see the highlights. GetYourGuide.com is a wonderful way to connect with the destination and make sure that you create lasting memories during your stay abroad. If you are interested in booking some curated tours, then please be sure to visit my affiliate link in the description below. The next question that I received was, can you explain cafe culture in Mauritius? So I'm at a point in my life where I'm all for enjoying some good Java, hospitality, and great views. The good news is that Mauritius has a variety of cafe options throughout the country. My absolute favorite cafe is Maison de Crêpes Grand Bay, located in, you guessed it, Grand Bay. I know I kind of went in a bit earlier about my difficulty with customer service in Mauritius, but this establishment in particular does not disappoint. In fact, it's the top place that I know I can visit and will be taken care of. I've been a return customer at this establishment since I first came to the island, and I recommend it for the quality of the food, delicious and beautifully crafted coffee, beverages, and stellar hospitality. And the last question that I have for today is, what do you wish you had known before moving abroad? Well, I guess everything, right? But therein lies the journey. Every time I've lived abroad, I didn't know what I didn't know. And that's ultimately what helped me obtain better independence, bravery, communication skills, acceptance, trust, open mindedness, and overall more experience. So if you're thinking about moving abroad, just know that it's an understatement when I say that it will become a life changing experience and you ultimately will become sort of like an ambassador for your country as you meet new people, share, and learn. I hope that this video has been insightful, and if you have any questions that I left out, please feel welcome to add them in the comment section below, and I will try my best to get back to everyone. Thank you for watching. Ciao.